Inspiration can come from very different places. Usually for me it comes from either looking at a certain visual that I want to convey in a generative way, or it comes from an actual system that has not been visualized yet but that I find interesting. I was studying for my computer science degree, and I had just been introduced to processing, which is a framework for working with generative code. I used this tool to learn different algorithms and to visualize them and to learn through implementing them in a more visual language. I think today my work is a lot more free. It's a bit more disconnected from these existing algorithms, and I often start with my own algorithms and my own methodology. I have a lot more control over the visual aspect of it right from the start. Mathematical structures are simple in its nature, but they can output some incredibly organic and seemingly chaotic outputs. I think what draws me to mathematical structures is the way I can fully control a very simple system and play with this relation between order and chaos in a very controlled way. Maybe you look at a piece and you feel like it is pure chaos, but after a while, after looking a bit at it, you start seeing patterns, and something shifts in your brain where you suddenly see the pattern and the piece almost transforms into something else. My philosophy is structural complexity through visual clarity. I try to not decorate my pieces. I try to be very minimalistic, try to use kind of a design language when I make my pieces. When having a structure or system in mind, I try to be very clear about what it is I want to show about the system. I've always been very fascinated about the mechanical engineering of motorsports. For Velocity, I really wanted to make a piece that kind of reflects the work that goes into creating engines and using data and information as an input. So I've used cogs and mechanical pieces as an element to kind of reflect that mechanical aspect of it. But I've also included these unruly circular shapes that kind of represents the unknown in this whole process. You never have perfect information when designing anything, much like in motorsports, where you can have a strategy, but you always have to consider uncertainties and things that you cannot really control. I will be using some data from Oracle Red Bull Racing to make some decision on some core features on the pieces. The challenge about using real-world data in generative art is that you don't really know what kind of numbers you will get. If you look at lap times, for instance, for a race, you would certainly get numbers that are really close to each other, but then you might also have these huge outliers because there was a safety car or a crash or something like that. I want people to look at these pieces and get lost in them in a way. Spend time looking at them and finding details that they didn't see initially, and hopefully also find things that reflect the different aspects of the sport and hopefully find it visually pleasing. I hope that my art is approachable for everyone, no matter what their background is. A piece of art should stand on its own. It shouldn't be good because it was created in a certain way. It shouldn't be good in a context of having a lot of restrictions to it. It should be good because it is good.